Hey guys, it's Alex Radcliffe with Board Game Co., and we're doing our Kickstarter roundup video. As usual, this isn't necessarily every single Kickstarter, rather this is a bunch of Kickstarters that caught my eye, Kickstarters that I was interested in to some degree, and I'm just going to go over each one, whether I am or am not backing it, and my reasons why. For this week, again, we have 5 Kickstarters. Starting off the top, we have Last Bottle of Rum. This one, by the time this video goes live, this is probably going to only have 1 or 2 days left on it. And this is a very, very, very well done campaign, especially considering that this is the first campaign from this creator. Last Bottle of Rum, the whole style of the game reminds me it's very reminiscent of Jamaica, both in terms of the theme itself, the very cutesy and well done artwork, the cards and the way they interplay, and just the cute, easy abilities. It has that light piratey feel game. Looks incredibly well produced, looks very appealing, and sadly, I am not backing it despite all that. I wish the creators all the best. I am glad they have successfully funded. I've seen these guys on a few groups, and they do seem to be fairly active in the community, which is great for them. Honestly, it seems like these guys are doing absolutely everything correct that they possibly could. They're being active in the community. They posted a lot of things about the campaign from the very get-go before the campaign itself even launched, and everything about this is very well done. The Kickstarter video is incredibly well done. The art and graphics are beautiful. I mean, look at this campaign. Look at the art. Look at the graphics of the game. Look at the cards. If you keep scrolling down, everything, it's very cutesy in both the presentation of the creators. Everything is absolutely as good as it could have been, bar one exception. The one thing I think they could have done a better job at is if you look down at the reviewer section of the reviewers they got to go over the game, there are none of the more common reviewers. This might be a little bit of American entitlement, I don't really know, but I don't recognize any of these people. There are none of the standard people I usually expect to see in a Kickstarter preview game. No Man vs. Meeple, no Dice Tower, no Rado. These are a bunch of reviewers who I've never heard of. It might be my own limited selection of who I look at, so if it's my bias, then forgive me, but I didn't recognize anyone I'm familiar with, which took away from some of the confidence I would like to have in whether this game is enjoyable. As far as not why back now, as far as why I'm not backing it, it's the same deal as usual that I have to go over. Despite the fact that they're doing everything correctly, and despite the fact that I 100% want to get this game and plan to get it when it goes retail, I'm using my usual logic here. If this game does not go to retail, then it may not have been a good enough game to get that traction, and I'm probably not missing out on much. But if it does go to a retail, then we're talking about a $47 price tag for this game, plus the cost of shipping. That is just, it's too high a price, considering this is a game that will probably be half that. Once you factor in shipping, I don't know what the shipping costs are, you're talking about around $60 for this game. It'll likely be in the range of half that if you get it at retail. As much as I wish the creators all the best, as much as I think they're being very reasonable, it's just the nature of the beast. This game will be much cheaper when it goes to retail. I'll hang around for then. That being said, if this game looks like an appealing game to you, which it does to me, I recommend going ahead and backing it. Not because you expect to see your money back, I don't think you will. Not because the value's there, I don't think it is. But if you like it and want to support the creators, go ahead. This campaign looks incredibly well done. From there, we have Order of Vampire Hunters. Order of Vampire Hunters will be a much shorter conversation here. This game is really a reprint. They're doing one of those, the Order of the Vampire soundtrack thing, which really just they're selling extra warehouse stock, and I believe an expansion as well. This game is, again, it's not going to be a huge money return on this one either. The first Kickstarter did decently. It's possible that you can get your money back on it, but it didn't seem to have a critical reception. It was definitely liked, and it was liked by enough people that, they're getting another Kickstarter out of it, but it wasn't loved, and the people who liked it were a small audience. It was often compared in a lot of things to Zombicide, but with like a timer aspect that added a little pressure that didn't really add much. Honestly speaking, for myself, I prefer Cthulhu Death May Die. That one also is Zombicide with a timing aspect and a pressure. This one, it doesn't really look that appealing to me. It's appealing enough that it ended up on this list, don't get me wrong. It falls in the category of games that I would back, but the miniature quality seems subpar. I had this game at one point, the original. I pulled it out, read the rules, didn't pull me in enough, so I passed on it. It looks okay. It looks okay. If vampires or if the theme is up your alley, give it a shot. I mean, this game was decently rated. It was not considered a bad game by any means. It's just in this world we live in, being not bad is not good enough. There's enough good games coming out that you need to be good. You need to be better, and this game didn't seem to be that, unfortunately. From there, we have Ruination, and Ruination is actually a tough one because as of the time of this video, when I'm recording this, they are currently in the middle of deciding whether to cancel the Kickstarter. And with this funding level, I completely understand why. They're chalking up a lot of that to the uncertainty around the coronavirus and COVID-19 and with how that's affecting people's ability or decisions to spend money. I think it's a bit of an overreach in their reasoning. I think that they probably face a lot of steep competition. And despite, I mean, for me, I did another Kickstarter video about this. I'll link up to it above top. But I am pulled in by this, and I'm currently backing at $1. I think I'm going to upgrade my pledge if it sticks around, or I'll come back for the next one. But it wasn't, it didn't seem to do enough to pull people in. And again, there's lots of competition. COVID-19 might have contributed to it, but I don't think is a huge factor. But I was pretty sad to see that they will be, potentially canceling. As far as the value question, I'm actually going to give a shout out to Tyler, who posted in the comments of my last video. He pointed out something that's completely true that I knew, but I forgot to mention in my coverage of the game. But the way Colossal Games tends to manage the Kickstarter value question is not just whether they have stretch goals and whatnot, but they also fairly heavily fix their prices of their games, and you don't really see, like, if you look at Western Legends, if you look at Mizo, if you look at their games, they don't seem to be that cheap after the Kickstarter. They do a pretty good job of price fixing the games and keeping the games at a market price that ensures that you're not ending up in one of those situations where you spend $70 on a game and then 2 months after it hits retail, people are buying it for $50. They do a pretty good job of keeping that in check, which again, it's its own debate whether they should or shouldn't, or how that affects the market as a whole. But I'm just focusing on the value of the Kickstarter and whether you see that value return. And because of the fact that they do that, that adds to the value return there. So in terms of the value return, if it's received half decently, you'll probably see your money back. If it's a complete bust, obviously you won't. So this is one of those that definitely depends on how well the game is received after the market hits. From there, we have Mind Management, and this one is a complete... I mean, this one baffles me, honestly, to the point that I'm questioning my own usual rationale and decisions for how I back Kickstarters. It's already funded. It has a bunch of testimonials that really, really do a great job. So, this is my favorite hidden movement game of all time. That's not just whenever you see these Kickstarter... whenever you see these videos and how they phrase things so eloquently that makes something sound so positive while really kind of being just generically positive. So you'll see things like, it was absolutely fascinating. I was so intrigued the whole time. Those aren't compliments. Those are not insults. It's a lack of saying this game is bad. There's lots of clever ways of saying something interesting about a game. This was such an engaging experience. I was amazed and intrigued by the way they combined mechanics. I mean, there's so many ways to say these things that aren't really a testimonial. This is a testimonial. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Rado, I really do. He's very, very excited about a lot of things, so I always pull back how much I take away from his excitement. But nonetheless, pulling it back aside, this is still a pretty solid testimonial. They had another one from, where was it? They had another one down here. I can't remember. Oh yeah, Derek Funhauser, Board Game Spotlight. Look at Whitechapel. There's a new hidden movement game in town, and it's going to blow your mind. So again, pretty good testimonial. It's a step above complete vagaries. For me, I will not be backing this for two reasons. First is the artwork is such a turnoff for me, and I've covered this in other videos. Art is inherently subjective. I am just so turned off by this presentation, completely and totally. Am I going to eventually be interested in trying it? Yes. Am I using that as a reason not to back it? 100% yes. You have to keep in mind, I back too many Kickstarters as it is. I'm frequently looking for reasons not to back games. Whether I can convince myself I'm not interested, that I won't see the table, or that I just don't like the art. I will look for reasons not to back a game. As far as the value question, which is another reason that I look not to back games, I'm not seeing it here. I'm not seeing it here at all. And this is where I really question myself here. Because they have two main tiers here. They have the Mind Management retail game, which is going to be roughly $47 plus shipping. And then they have the deluxe edition, which is going to be roughly $66. I'm using the US dollars here, plus shipping. So again, always the same conversation with shipping. But I don't see this in any way, shape, or form. If you pick the retail game, they're calling it a $60 game. Again, this is another one that I don't see it going for more than 30 after the fact. When it hits retail, I think you'll regularly be able to get this for $40 starting off, and then from there maybe $30. Like if they're saying the retail value here is 50 US dollars, they're barely even offering a discount here. I mean, they're not 50 US dollars retail value means you're going to see it brand new in Cool Stuff Inc. or Miniature Market for $37 or $41, $42, and they're asking 47 off the bat. They're giving you a $3 discount off MSRP. That is insanity to me, and that's before the shipping cost. I don't understand how it has the audience it does unless they're pulled in by the admittedly amazing testimonials. But as far as a return on your dollar here, I mean, I don't see this. I just don't see a return on your dollar at all. You go up to the deluxe pledge and things get a little better here, not because the pricing is better, but just because the nature of deluxe and exclusive components means at least you can't perfectly compare it to a retail model. So in this case, fine, go for the deluxe edition. You might see your value back there. I don't know. I mean, the difference price differential isn't huge, and they are giving you some nice things like some game trays and some extra components. I don't see the value here at all, but if you're going to back one, back to the deluxe, you'll get a better ratio of your value back at the very least. So yeah, it's a tough one. I plan on trying it because it's a hidden movement game and these are pretty solid testimonials, but I'm definitely not backing it between the artwork that to me personally is not appealing, as well as the complete lack of value on what they're actually offering you here. I just don't see the incentive here, and like I said, to me a Kickstarter has to be a win-win. You want me to put my money out on a game that's not produced, that is coming out a year from now, that there's no guarantee will be good. I need a reward in exchange, and they're not offering that in a way that I feel is comparable at all. Finally, last but not least, we go to Who Goes There. And from Who Goes There this is one that I am not backing, unfortunately. I'll get to why shortly. But this is one that I believe you probably will see your money back on. Who Goes There is based off the John Carpenter Who Goes There movie, or I believe it was a book first, actually. I'm not certain. But either way, it was based off that genre, that's not genre, that whatever movie, let's go with. It's based on that movie, and it is the production quality. This is a reprint Kickstarter. It's a second edition, and the production quality of the first edition was through the roof. It was very well done, gorgeous little cutesy little miniatures, great components all around, great artwork. Overall, this was well received, and it held its value. And this goes back to the holding your value question. The Kickstarter held its value pretty decently. If you backed it, you can usually get your money back. Maybe you lose a bit on the shipping, but past that, it did a decent job of holding its value, even for a used game. So that's already a decent reason to back it. The fact that this is a reprint means there's even more of incentive. If the first edition was a risk, this one's less so. It is likely to be as good, if not better, and we'll get to that in a second, as good, if not better, than the first edition, which means there's more of an incentive and less of a risk that it'll hold its value. So it is not a bad buy from that stance. As far as what's going on here, the first edition of the game, while it was generally okay received, people seem to like it a lot more for the theme and for what it represented than the gameplay itself. The gameplay itself, there were a decent amount of critiques that it took that hidden movement, that resistance style gameplay, that Battlestar Galactica style gameplay, and that they had a flawed game around it. People loved the theme, they loved what they were trying to do, but there was a decent amount of critiquing around the actual execution of what was going on. Despite all of that, it held its value fairly well. The problem is that, not the problem, so then they came out with a second edition. They're coming out now with a second edition Kickstarter that is supposedly going to fix all of those things. So this is why I'm not backing it, unfortunately. I am optimistic and hopeful that they are fixing those things. But to me, a game is first and foremost about playing it. And while I like the art and while I like these miniatures and the style going on here, this is not a Kickstarter by any means. It's not a theme by any means that I am pulled in enough to risk a bad game. The fact that they are fixing their first game, I'm patient enough to wait and see what's going to happen and whether they successfully fix it or not. This is a game that would be very unlikely to see the table unless it was a great game for me. This is, especially hidden movement games in general, I tend to be a little bit more resistant to hidden movement games that are, not hidden movement, sorry, hidden trader games that are longer. I like Resistance, I love Resistance, I love One Night Ultimate Werewolf, but those are shorter periods of gameplay. As soon as you have a longer game with a trader role going on, I tend to be much more averse to those, because if they're not done really well, you can end up with an hour-long experience or even more where somebody is caught out, everyone knows what's going on, and people are just playing a miserable game where I have to still pretend that I'm not the trader even though everyone knows I am. I tend not to like hidden role games that are longer, and this falls into that category. So the fact that they didn't get it perfectly right the first time, and this is attempt number 2, means I am hesitant. I am optimistic, don't get me wrong, but I am hesitant. But that being said, I believe the value is there. Like I said, as long as they don't make it worse than the first one, and the first one held its value, this will probably hold its value as well. The only caveat to that, the only catch to that would be if this is so overfunded that the market dropped out and people were dumping it. But I'm not seeing this as being ridiculously overfunded here. They're doing a good job. They met their funding goal. I'm happy for them. But it's not like some sort of situation where you're going to have to worry about the market being flooded with secondhand copies and the value tanking. So I believe it's a safe back. If not one you will see a lot more money back on. I plan on checking it out when it actually comes around and see if they did a good job fixing that. But like I said, that cooperative growing paranoia hidden thing trader situation with 90 to 120 minutes, I'm a bit wary, so I'm backing off for now. That's the Kickstarter roundup for this week. 5 Kickstarters. The only one I'm backing as of now is the one that looks like it's going to be canceled. So we'll try again next week. I believe there are some Kickstarters coming up that I will be backing. There's going to be Ankh showing up. I have a Kickstarter preview video I'll link up to up top. You can watch up there. There are some more Kickstarters hitting the market that I will be very sorely tempted by, and we'll see how much I can control myself. And until next time, this is Alex from Board Game Co. You can like this video down below. You can subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. If you like this content, let me know. Engage. Tell me what you do like. Tell me what you don't like. What do you want to see differently? Tell me what kind of videos you want. What did I cover that you want? What would you want me to cover? I'm enjoying this whole video thing. I'm having a lot of fun with it, so I'm generally pretty open to requests. If you want me to cover something, just let me know, and I will probably get around to it. Until next time, Alex from Board Game Co., and have a good one.